तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्।
The Hindu philosophy of death. The Mahabharata says, death is inevitable for all living beings, yet we all desire to live. The art of dying is as important to learn as the art of living. Preparedness for death comes through making the best of one's own life, achieving God consciousness, through accepting the natural process of aging, of suffering, and of the ultimate cessation of the living body, what in biological terms we call death. The Hindu philosopher Tagore described death as beautiful, an act taking away all earthly sufferings and bringing eternal bliss. As a metaphysical or spiritual concept, death even of the body does not really occur. The body only changes form through rebirth until one realizes the supreme power, the Brahman, and is released from this cycle of nature. This philosophy of the Hindus regarding death has helped many to face death with tranquility. In order to prepare oneself for death, the primary task is to realize yourself, what Hindus call the Atman, the true self. Who are you? What is the purpose of your birth and existence in this world? What will become of you after death? The kingdom of God is within you is a Hindu concept, whereas the idea that God is up there or out there judging you is a Western concept of the prophetic traditions originating in Judaism and its daughter religions, Christianity and Islam. In these prophetic religions, the first assumption is that of a personal God who rules the universe and who communicates his will to man through prophets and lawgivers. This God is directly and personally concerned with the right ordering of this world and with the right and righteous relationships of people. He is a personal and living God who manifests his will in history. As Pascal said, he is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, not the God of the philosophers and learned. Hindus, on the other hand, are by nature mystical in their theology. They try to realize the mystery of the Supreme Lord, the Brahman, unchanging, one, dependent on nothing, absolutely free. The God of Eastern religion is the God of the philosopher, so much so indeed that to call him God at all can only mislead. For Brahman is not a person, but a principle of unchanging being, which is yet the source of all becoming, the stillness that is yet the source of all activity, the one from which all multiplicity proceeds. The worship of deities to a Hindu is only symbolic, and the particular features are unimportant. Thus, a round rock of Narayana indicates the concept of shapelessness, the tree that provides shade, or the river that bears the essence of life. Air, water, and light, all are manifestations of the same Godhead. Unlike prophetic religions, which seek salvation from sin or evil, Hinduism aims at salvation from the human condition as we know it, subject to birth and death, old age and decay, the tyranny of time and of this world in which we live. And so, the ancient Hindu prayer says, "From the unreal, lead me to the real. From darkness, lead me to the light. From death, lead me to immortality." Life is mortal, transient, unreal, and subject in all things to change. Salvation is the liberation of the soul from this transient and illusory existence in order to attain immortality and eternity. The liberated soul is free of this world, free from worldly sufferings, and is no longer subject to change and not limited by time, space, and matter. The soul, according to the Hindus, is the Atman, the inmost self, source of consciousness and of true joy. In this world, we are unable to discover the true nature of our inmost selves because of the limitations of our bodily senses, of our mind and ego, whereas liberation or moksha frees oneself from the false or illusory view of things. The eternal spirit, Brahman, is the same changeless principle which both pervades the universe and dwells in the consciousness of every man. Liberation or moksha is the experience of the presence of the Brahman in yourself and in all nature. This self-realization transcends from personal existence and opens into the wide expanse of unlimited being, just as a river loses its own identity once it flows into the featureless ocean.
Asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya, asato ma satgamaya.
Om kritva tu dushkritam karma, janata bappa janata, mrityu kalavasang prapya, narang panchatmagatam.
O departing soul, with the death of your perishable body, may all the doings of your present life, whether good or bad, done knowingly or unknowingly, now be burnt along with the body. The body will turn into ashes that constitute the basic elements of this perishable life, but the soul will travel to the divine kingdom of God, leaving behind the body, wrapped in its religious and non-religious acts, its greeds and its passions, which will be burnt and purified by this fire.
न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः.
In India, the currents of sacredness run deep indeed. Among the millions of ordinary Indians from all castes and walks of life are holy men and women who've renounced the material world for a life of austerity and meditation, one of India's oldest callings. India was one of the earliest of the great civilizations, and it defined the goals of civilized life very differently from the West. The West raised individualism, materialism, rationality, masculinity as its ideals. India's great tradition insisted on non-violence, renunciation, the inner life, the female as pillars of civilization. And through all the triumphs and disasters of her history, she hung on to that ideal, an eternal quest to identify humanity with the whole of creation, a unity in diversity. As our troubled century draws to its close, a deeper understanding of the achievements of other civilizations has become a necessity. As Mark Twain said here a century ago, the Indians may seem poor to we rich Westerners, but in matters of the spirit, it's we who are the paupers, and they who are the millionaires. History is full of empires of the sword, but India alone created an empire of the spirit.